You guys heard the Big Rock story?
Yes.
So professor brings a big vase into the class. It's bigger than this, obviously. He's got some large rocks, got some medium rocks, some small rocks. He's got some sand. Oh, and he's got a pitcher of water. He says, how could I possibly fit all of this stuff into this jar? So first you do the biggest rocks, kind of shake them to where they settle, and then you put the medium-sized rocks and shake them to where they settle. And then the pebbles go in, and then you can pour the sand in, and the sand will, and this is true, you can do it, it will filter down through and kind of fill all the gaps, and then you can still pour the water in it. But if you were to do it in any other order, you would not be able to fit everything inside of said jar. So if you started with the little rocks, they would settle at the bottom, the medium rocks would settle on top of those, and the big rocks wouldn't fit. And that's because you have to take care of the big things first. And this is like a universal principle. So it doesn't just apply to your schedule, it applies to everything. If you're going to reorganize your closet, you're gonna have to get everything off the shelves. You're gonna have to make a big mess first, and you have to make sure that you put the big things away first so the little things can work themselves around it. Like when you're building a house, you start with the heating and air system because it has big ducts. And then after that, you do the plumbing because they're relatively large pipes and sometimes inflexible. And then you do the wiring, and then you insulate around all of that stuff. Because if you started in any other order, if you did the electrical first, you wouldn't be able to fit the big heating and air supply ducts through the house with as much ease, and then there would be interference with the plumbing. So the big things always have to go first. So my question then would be, what is a big rock? What's a big rock to Jason?
Lead gen.
So we say lead generation a lot, but what is lead generation? Let's define that. Real estate conversations is what I heard. Contacts. When Caitlin has a busy day, do you think Caitlin's going to do lead generation at 7 o'clock tonight?
No.
You think Caitlin can do lead generation right after this before her appointment? You want to get your big rocks in your day first. Right, that's why I'm never really available before noon for any sort of an appointment. I had a big blow up with another agent actually this morning that their assistant went directly to the builder, my client, and set up an appointment without my knowledge, and it's at 10 a.m. today, and I can't be there. Because my big rocks are all in the morning. You guys are one of my big rocks. Like, I do sell homes, but I help you guys get better at selling homes. That's one of my big rocks. And that's why we have, so for me, it's the one-to-many conversations, right? Because if I'm talking to Caitlin about something, Jenna may need to hear it too, and I don't want to have this conversation twice if I can have everybody in the room and we can just do it all at once and get it done. Then you all remember it, and then I record it. So the next time we have that come up, and maybe I'm not around, there's a video to watch on this to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And if you'll notice through the place onboardings, it's a lot of videos of Ben and Chris that are recorded because they don't need to have the conversation 200 times. They need to have it once good, recorded, and then be able to disseminate it. So that is an example of like one of my big rocks, are you guys. So lead generation, what else is a big rock?
Sales training.
Training. What's training?
Scripts, role play.
Real estate talk, yeah? So training, yeah, scripts, objections, seminars. Okay, training. So we're gonna lead generate, or these things we do every day. We're gonna lead generate every day, we're gonna train every day. What else would we do every day?
Engage in our files.
Is that number 3, engage in files? Any other votes? Appointments?
I think it's just every day, but that's my number 3.
Yeah, probably mine too.
Yeah, now you get it, like once you've done the first 2, right? Once you're doing the lead generation, once you are doing the training, then it becomes a prioritization game, right? That's why there's different sized rocks. So what is next may depend day to day after the first 2, right? If you have 20 pendings, you're going to have to really prioritize how to go about moving those transactions forward while also moving your future business forward. Because you're on a 90-day cycle. Jenna, 90 days ago, you started a conversation with a lady, and now you're showing her houses. And if she buys something, sounds like she has a loan, it's gonna be 45 days. So you had the conversation, let's say, in July? And you're gonna get paid for that in January at the soonest. It's a big gap between the lead generation and handling the file and getting paid. So then we have to make sure, talked to Amy about this yesterday, that we're doing the lead generation every day, because what too often will happen when we start lacking clarity is you do your lead gen, you get some business, then you work your business, you stop your lead gen, then you lose all your business, and then you do a bunch of lead gen, and then you get your business, but then you work your business. So you have to make sure that the big rocks, these first two, are your non-negotiables. I should always be talking to people, having real estate conversations, or as Autumn would say, finding individuals that are interested in the product or service that I sell. And that has to be a daily activity. So yeah, then you can have your files. So maybe that's like a medium rock. Because really, your transaction coordinator is handling most of the paperwork part of the file. For example, we did a little interview yesterday, and one of the things was you've got a repair addendum that came in this morning. What I would recommend you do, so you get your big rocks in, hey, Ethan, right? I'm repping a seller, or Tanya. Hey, Ethan, Tanya, whoever it is that's buyer or seller, send this to the client and let them know I'll call them at noon. Send this to the client and let them know I'll call them at 1:30. Maybe I'll text them, hey, we're sending over the buyer's repair request. I'm working on it. I'm in meetings all morning. I'll get this to you by noon. Or for example, me this morning, offer comes in on one of our new constructions. It's very high pressure for me to get these sold. So I called the builder, said, hey, real quick, here's like a couple things. I won't actually get this emailed out to you guys with a recommended response until 9:30 or 10 o'clock because I'm in meetings until then, right? Because it's more important for me to be here with you guys than for me to be down there processing an offer all sweaty-headed and blow my whole day up. Then you guys are all like, I guess we're not meeting today. I'm like, sorry, yeah, I got an offer. I got an offer. I can't, you guys are fucked, right? So priorities then live, because I very easily could have been justified, right? And we've got to get this offer out. The market's crashing. We have to sell these houses. They're going to kill me if I don't. But the reality is 2, 3, 4 hours is not going to kill this deal. It can be iced until my priorities are taken care of. And then I'll send it to them at 10. They'll probably respond at noon, and then we'll get something accepted tomorrow. But it doesn't have to be this feverish, like foaming at the mouth, adrenaline rush deal. It's like, hey, okay, that's cool. Check my schedule. I'm busy for a while. That's going to have to wait, And the reality is, if it's an emergency, like if it's legitimately an emergency, I'm the wrong guy to call, right? If your house caught on fire, don't call your real estate agent, call the fire department, right? If you're like hanging off of a cliff and your glove is slipping, you don't call me. You call Paw Patrol. So you have to keep that in perspective too, because then, right? So files, what's next? Now we're in medium rocks. This is where a lot of us lose too. I met with Jason. Jason said he'd set me up on a search and that he said he'd call me Friday at 11. Neither one of those things happened. So I went to an open house on Saturday and bought a house. 2 weeks later, Jason's like, hey guys, just checking in. You didn't do what you said you were gonna do. And we were A buyers, man. We bought something, bro.
Yeah.
That happened? Okay, now we're getting some even smaller rocks. Searches, if you're working with buyers.
Property searches.
How many of us are not doing property searches and letting our buyers send stuff to us? So property searches are actually monumentally important. You guys should have a pretty good idea. And weird, aren't you looking at houses too when you're in launch? Why would you be looking at houses? Why do you think they have you doing that?
You know what's out there.
Yeah, because this allows you to sell what's available today, right? That's know the inventory. If you walk through a whole bunch of houses and then someone calls and says, hey, I need to sell my house, you're gonna have a better idea of what it's worth before you even do your market analysis, because you've seen 20 houses this past week and you're looking at 20 houses every week with or without a client. But now you can be like, okay, now I understand that inside of Oregon, right? There's Southern Oregon and there's Southwest Oregon, which is where we're at. And there's Josephine County and there's Jackson County and there's Klamath County. And then inside of those counties, there's cities. There's a difference between White City and Ashland. Mm-hmm. There's also a difference between North and South Ashland. You have Northwest Medford. You have Southeast Medford. You have East Medford, which is just this side of I-5. You have the O1, which is West Medford, which is the other side of I-5. But then you have Southwest Medford, which is on one side of Stewart. You have regular West Medford that's between McAndrews and Maine, right? And then it bleeds into Jacksonville, right? And there's the nice parts of Jacksonville. There's a historic Jacksonville. There's the new builds up on the hill outside of like where Hummingbird is, and you have Tammy Lane. So if you don't know, you can't possibly understand all the micro markets, right? You think of Oregon real estate, down to Cedar Landing subdivision, which is where I live, which is different than Bella Vista, where I've sold a bunch of homes, which is different than Innsbrook Ridge, which is a bunch of steep stuff they've never been able to sell. And when you're looking at these houses, you start to get familiar, and then you're actually a better agent overall because you're doing the searches and you're coupling that with actually seeing the properties. You become more of an expert, and then you actually do know what's available today. And you can, at the snap of a hat, say, that place seems a little expensive. I looked at 5 others yesterday that are a better deal. 7, even smaller rock. I would say that happens, well, I would highly recommend you're in your CRM while you're doing your lead generation. You should have Brivity open, and you should be adding people as you're talking to them. Because are you really gonna, okay, so I did my lead gen, I didn't do my CRM, then I did my training, listened to Tarek and Elena. I updated my files, got yelled at for missing an initial here. The close date's coming up next week. They're going to be homeless and everyone's dying. I had some appointments. They no-showed me. I followed up with the guys that no-showed me, and they already bought a house. I did some searches. By all the time all that's happening, you're really going to remember the 15, 20 people you talked to, names, phone numbers, email addresses, and what you talked about. And mind you, now it's like, 6 o'clock at night? So I would say CRM, yes, is very important. It needs to be in with the lead gen. That should be coupled together. Same with your calendar, right? Calendar should be open, or using the CRM's calendar to make sure that you're scheduling follow-ups and setting it up as soon as it's done. So as soon as I'm done with a buyer appointment, I set the search up. I text them all the information. I meet all of the obligations that I promised them I would do immediately. I don't do it later because it won't happen, or it won't happen as well. So when it's fresh is when you do it, which goes back to just as soon as you have the call, update your notes in the CRM. Okay, 7, CRM, 8.
I save all of my social media things for later in the day, both lead gen and content planning for myself.
Social marketing, okay. Anyone getting nauseous yet? So you do your social.
Networking.
AKA drinking. Yeah, so let's be real. Okay, after that, then what?
Everybody, not just for me, okay?
I know. We're real estate agents, we're all degenerates. Email, shopping. The point of this exercise, right, Autumn talked about prioritization. So many things happening. If you don't make it past page 2, that's okay. Because the list goes on and on. I could do laundry, I need to wash my truck, I need to vacuum the house, I need to fluff the pillows on the couch, I need to cancel my YouTube Plus subscription, I need to mow the lawn, my clothes are wrinkly, I need to put them in the dryer, I forgot to take a shower, I gotta cut my fingernails, I need a haircut. But you have to know what's important, right? And those are the big rocks. These are your 2 big rocks. You need to let the public know what you do and ask them for the business. Is number 1. And then you need to make sure that when you have these conversations, you're competent in these conversations. But I tell you what, if you got really good at this, I would figure out the rest for you. If you have enough conversations and you're bold enough, you will win, regardless of what you say on the phone. Just by virtue of doing it a lot, you will get better and better and better. You wouldn't be able to stop it. If all you did was dial for 3 or 4 hours a day, circle prospect every single one of our listings for a couple months, you'd be a freaking train killer. You would have left thousands and thousands of voicemails. You'd have had thousands and thousands of conversations. It's that simple. If you do nothing else, you do this. But what's the one thing most of us don't do? And certainly don't do on a regular basis. It's the lead generation. Because we're worried about the next 6 pages of shit that doesn't matter, because this drives everything, right? You don't need to have any conversations if you're not talking to people. You don't need to know what to say. You won't have anyone to search for. You won't have any appointments to go on. You won't have anything to calendar. You'll have no need for a CRM. You certainly won't worry about how dirty your car is because there's no one ever in it. No one ever sees it because no one knows you're in real estate. So it all starts with this. So if there's nothing else you do today but one thing, you could get your keys tomorrow, you could cancel those showings. They'd find another agent, right? We're not that needed. If I died, you guys would all survive and keep selling real estate. You'd probably just go somewhere else. Like, everyone's replaceable. But this is the one thing that makes you irreplaceable, is the ability to get the business. Why do you think HomeLight bangs us for 25, 35, or whatever percent every time they give us a lead? Because they know the value is, hey, these guys aren't willing to get the business. We're going to get the business, and we're going to charge them out the nose for it. Right? Because the hard part is the lead generation. The easy part is the fulfillment. Is it hard to open up doors to houses? Would your client know where the kitchen was without you?
Yes.
How? Could they tell if it was a bad neighborhood? Maybe by looking around and seeing like bullet holes in cars and busted windows and shitty roofs and tweakers walking around. I mean, can they find houses without us?
Yeah.
Zillow, Realtor.com, every freaking real estate website on the planet. I think we have like 10 ourselves. So, but you have to be able to connect with people. They're gonna buy or sell whether or not I'm here, whether or not Jason's here, whether or not any of us are here. If someone needs to buy a house, they're gonna buy a house. So we need to make sure that when they do that, they choose us. You have to be known, because without this, nothing else matters. And this is the hardest part too. This is like it goes against everything in your body, the way you were raised in America, right? Mommy says like, don't toot your own horn, don't make a scene, don't talk to strangers. well, you need to make some noise. And a stranger has everything that you want and need in this world, right? Because otherwise, based on the people you know, you'd already have everything you need. Some of the best clients I have are people I cold called. Builders, real estate agents, we all hated them. I did when I was a builder. Bastards come in. I could make barely like maybe 15%, but then after warranty work and stuff, I would make 10%. The damn real estate agent would charge me 6%. I spent 6 months building the house. I had 10 years worth of liability. I used my money to build this thing, risked it all. And the agent comes in, gets a contract signed and made 6%. So I can talk to builders because I know what they think of us. But I also know that they need us, because almost every new build has a real estate agent associated with it. Whether or not they like it, they know that we're like some sort of necessary evil. So I don't talk to them like, hey, Jimmy, reason for my call is see if you need a new agent to sell your home. What is that, this thing? I'm like, yo, I know you hate us, but we're necessary. Here's what I can do for you that other people can't. Right? But that's all lead generation.